I'm here with David PK from 40 Ounce Bounce, and I'm going to ask him a few questions.
You gotta have skills! Yo, my name is Lindsay, and I don't wear pennies. I got a mate named Robbie, and he calls me Uncle Rod.
How do you think technology affects music?
Greatly. Well, first of all, playing live and playing electric is all it is electronics and technology, because you use it for recording, live recording. Amps have different effects, different uses. All the guitars have different sounds, basically the model you have. Compared to back in the day when it just used to be acoustics and really no electrics. It's transformed greatly just over the past 30 years. Technology has come a long way in the music world. Even learning, for example, it's a lot easier to learn to play an instrument now than it was 40 years ago. Just, you can ask my father. He didn't have any computers or TVs or anything to learn from. All he could learn from was records and record players. But I could use, there's programs where you could stop music, you could remove the guitar part or the drum part or the vocals, or play it at half speed and get tabs and other notes to help you learn. And the internet is a great resource for getting more information on anything about the guitar.
Well, you were talking about all the different things you could do with different guitars, so what are some examples?
Well, every guitar has a different sound, and every amp has a different sound.
How does it have a different sound?
The electronics inside it, really. Some, you have tube amps, you have solid state amps. Some have more of an original vintage tone. And also different guitars have different sounds. Like this has a semi-hollow body guitar compared to like a solid body guitar. It produces different sounds and tones. And that's why people have different styles of what to play. And you have different genres of music based on different technologies you have with amps and guitars, bass amps and drums, and all that kind of stuff.
So, what kind of music do you like to play, and how do you pick a guitar based on that?
I'm a blues guitarist. My band plays mostly rock, and I use basically the standard is just a simple amp, a solid guitar. I use mostly a Stratocaster, and I do have a slur of pedals, which consists of overdrive, which just adds more distortion to your tone. A distortion pedal, which adds even more fuzz, which is even more. I have a wah pedal, which controls the highs and lows, which makes them interesting sounding up and low frequency volume. I also have a delay, which just is a soft echo, and vibe, which is a rotary speaker emulator, which basically mimics a speaker going from left to right. Like if you're listening to something through your headphones and you have the right side and left side, it's just like it's going back and forth. It just adds that effect to it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What pedals do you guys usually use when you're performing?
Once again, it depends on the song. For more slower blues songs, I'll just go clean through a light overdrive. But a lot of the rock songs, I use fuzz and distortion and wah sometimes. It's really hard though, because I really have to crank up my volume, because George, which is our drummer, plays really loud, and Pat plays loud too, and his voice is pierced at times too. That's the biggest problem, probably, is getting the levels right. Because if you don't get the levels right, people complain they don't hear. Oh, I don't hear the guitar. When the guitar, well, I don't hear the vocals. When the vocals, so that's why sound checks is so important. And a lot of times we don't get that because we don't play at big enough places yet.
How has technology affected your recording of music?
I think for one, it's a lot easier because anyone could record something they want to record specifically on a computer when that wasn't really available a few years ago. You'd have to go into a studio and record, at least get high quality recordings. So I think the biggest advance was the quality. Yeah, you go to a studio now and have top-notch quality, but you also stay right at home and have pretty good quality too, like through an Apple or your computer.
Yeah, you used to use GarageBand, right?
Yeah, GarageBand, which is a free software. It has just as good quality as really anything else does, but everyone uses Pro Tools, which is like $300-400 program. Which of course, if you're a professional and you're marketing and playing concerts and stuff like that, then you're gonna go with that. But if you're just beginning and you want to start off and you want to show people your music and you're not big yet, it's easy to just record by yourself rather than have to save up money and go into a studio.
What kind of technologies do you use when you guys are performing?
It's basically the same thing.
Like a lot of amps and...
Right. I just use one amp. I have a backup amp just in case, a tube blows or something. Pat the bassist has an amp as well, and he just connects right to his guitar. But obviously, I have a bunch of pedals, and George just uses a standard drum kit: tom, cymbal, snare. He uses double kick drum.
And you guys have a PA system?
And yeah, the PA system.
And that affects like the levels of each instrument?
No, that's just the PA is just vocal specifically,
Okay.
but all of us sing, so you have to adjust the levels on certain instruments. Like George's has to be lower because he's got a big drum set in front of him, so sometimes the sound will get warped and it'll be picked up with the microphone. You might get feedback, so his is a little lower compared to me and Pat's. Was
it through GarageBand that you did the drum tracks when you were recording? You didn't have a drummer yet?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, how did that work?
Well, just like any other software, music software, you have pre-recorded instruments. So what we did was we had guitars and we had the bass and we had a microphone to sing into. But we didn't have, drums, or we couldn't bring a drum set into a dorm or anywhere near here. So they had just pre-recorded drum beats, really. And it's relatively easy, but obviously someone live playing sounds better than a drum machine. But the idea is you pick a beat based on the genre of music you're playing, and you just match it with the tempo, which is the speed of the song you want it to be, so everything blends in together and it sounds nice. Basically, it's a back line, as they call it.
Well, thanks for doing an interview with me.
No problem.